Most people have done this. You are alone. Maybe you are in the shower. Maybe you are driving home. Maybe you are lying in bed, trying to sleep. And suddenly, you are having a full conversation with someone who is not there. You know what they say. You know what you say back. Sometimes you finally deliver the perfect line you missed weeks ago. Sometimes you prepare for an argument that has not even started yet. And sometimes you replay the same imaginary conversation so many times, it starts to feel almost real. Your heart beats faster. Your body gets tense. You feel angry, embarrassed, or relieved because of a conversation that only ever existed inside your head. So why does your brain do this? Why does it keep building entire social situations before reality even gets a chance to happen? The answer is not that you are strange. It is that your brain is trying to prepare you for a future it cannot predict. Your brain does not only react to the world, it constantly tries to predict what comes next. Before you speak in a meeting, it imagines how people might respond. Before you see someone important, it quietly rehearses possible conversations. Psychologists call this mental simulation, your brain's way of running a dress rehearsal before reality arrives. And in many situations, it helps. It gives you better words, it stops you from reacting impulsively. But there is one problem. Your brain is not running these simulations using facts. It is running them using uncertainty. And uncertainty gives your imagination an enormous amount of room to work with. A conversation is harder to predict than the weather. Will they understand you? Will they be offended? Will they agree? Will they reject you? Your brain cannot know. So it starts generating possibilities. One version where they are kind. One version where they misunderstand everything. One version where you finally respond perfectly. The more the person matters to you, the more versions your brain creates. That is why imaginary conversations tend to feature the same cast of characters. A crush, a parent, a boss, someone whose opinion has more power over you than you want to admit. Inside your imagination, you are no longer powerless. You can pause, rewrite your response, try again. You can be calmer and sharper than you felt in real life. But your brain can become quietly addicted to that sense of control because reality is messier. People react in ways no rehearsal can fully prepare you for. There's a cluster of brain regions called the default mode network. It becomes more active when you are not focused on an outside task, when you are showering, walking, driving, trying to fall asleep. In those quiet moments, your brain turns inward. It revisits the past. It imagines the future. It tries to figure out what other people meant and what they might do next. That is why imaginary conversations rarely appear when you are fully occupied. They show up in the empty spaces. Your body may be resting, but your mind is still working. It starts opening unfinished files. That awkward exchange, that message you never sent, that apology you never received, that argument you keep returning to, and suddenly your brain gives each one a voice. Here is the strange part. Your body does not always distinguish between a social threat that is happening now and one you are only imagining. You picture someone criticizing you. Your stomach tightens. You imagine being rejected. Your chest feels heavy. You imagine finally saying what you wanted to say, and you feel relief. Your brain can generate real emotional responses to situations that exist only in simulation. For most of human history, belonging meant safety and rejection meant danger. So your nervous system became finely tuned to anything involving status, conflict, or approval. An imaginary conversation may not be real, but the emotional stakes can still feel completely real to your body. Sometimes you are not preparing. You are repeating. There is a difference between rehearsal and rumination. Rehearsal has a direction. You think a situation through, decide what matters, and move forward. Rumination circles, the same conversation, the same imagined answer, the same fear, again and again. At that point, your brain is no longer helping you prepare for anything. It is trying to solve a problem that has no clean answer. What if they think I am wrong? What if I ruin everything? The problem is that imagined conversations rarely produce certainty. They produce more possibilities, and every new possibility gives your brain another reason to keep going. That is why you can spend 30 minutes rehearsing a conversation that lasts 2 minutes, or one that never happens at all. And there is one more irony. In your imagination, you have something reality never gives you: time. You can pause, choose the perfect words, predict every question. That is why the imaginary version of you sounds so articulate. Then the real conversation starts, and your mind goes blank. Because real life adds everything imagination removed: facial expressions, tone of voice, timing, social pressure, unexpected reactions. The version of you in your head had a script. The version of you in real life has to improvise. Here is something worth noticing. The person in your imagined conversation may not even be the real subject. Sometimes you are rehearsing an argument with a friend, but what you are really processing is feeling invisible. Sometimes you are imagining a conversation with your boss, but what you are really sitting with is fear of failure. Your brain uses conversations because that is how humans make sense of relationships. They give shape to feelings that are too difficult to name any other way. So when your mind keeps building dialogues that never happen, it may be asking something quieter. What do I actually need from this person? What am I still carrying from the last time we spoke? These are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are signs that something still feels unresolved. So the next time you catch yourself having a full conversation with someone who is not even in the room, remember what is actually happening. Your brain is trying to predict, to protect you from being caught off guard. But not every imagined conversation needs to be finished. Not every possible reaction deserves an hour of your mental energy. The conversation in your head is only one version of reality, not a prophecy, not proof of what anyone thinks about you. Just your brain trying to make the unknown feel a little safer. And sometimes the response you have been searching for in every imagined version of the conversation only appears when the real one finally begins. If this made you see your own mind a little differently, subscribe for more science-based psychology videos exploring the hidden mechanisms of the human brain. See you in the next one.